Bernie, that was one of the most frustrating, disappointing losses. I've been a West Virginia fan my whole life, man. I've never seen anything quite like that. What are your thoughts?
I have a lot of them. Gonna put out right now, I'm really disappointed in Rich Rod. I think this loss squarely on him. Nobody else. It was the offense, was not the defense. I thought the defense really did what they did last week and locked down in the second half and made adjustments as needed. And Rich Rod was terrible from beginning to end. His play calling was pathetic. It was timid. It is not who he is. And I hope over the weekend he goes to his house, locates the jar where his balls are, and finds them, because this game was pathetic. And knowing what's at stake and what we could have had with, two 2-0 teams going into the backyard brawl to lose to a team like Ohio, first time we've lost them since 1949. Even Neil Brown didn't do that, Richard. So you know what? This is squarely on you. I hope you take some time this weekend to reflect, because you embarrassed Mountaineer Nation this weekend, and it's on you.
I would agree. I think it is the most embarrassing loss that we've had. I can't remember a more embarrassing loss that we've had ever, really. And that's saying a lot. We went 6 years with Neil Brown as our head coach. And again, none of his losses were quite this bad. We have a lot of comments, and I know we want to hit some of these comments. Let's take a look at this, and then we'll continue, Barney. It said Nikki over on X says recruiting takes a hit. Absolutely. Dude, you called them the Bear Kittens. I did. I didn't think that this game was going to be anywhere close. I thought we would beat them by at least 3 touchdowns. I was wrong, obviously. Matthias over on YouTube, embarrassing. Sean Murray, absolutely pathetic. We might not win another game this year. Trash team. Bernie, the schedule doesn't get any easier. We play unfortunately, a really good Pitt team next week. And then we start, Big 12 conference schedule, and there's no gimmies there either. So are we looking at a team that could potentially not win another game for the remainder of the year?
Yeah. I did not think I would say this, but I'm just shocked by the performance tonight and the ineptitude of the offense. And unfortunately, that really was not on the offense. I know we lost Jaheim early, but to be +4 essentially in the turnover margin and not capitalize on any of that, again, this is squarely on Rich Rodriguez. His play calling sucked. He did not change it. When we actually started to throw the ball in the second half, we started to move the ball and we saw it quickly, and then he ran it again.
Yeah.
This is squarely on Rich Rod. And look, the Cam Vaughn catch was a catch. End of story. Yeah. NCAA sucks. The refs sucked. I don't know how they don't overturn that. That was a differentiating point in the game. I put it up on my X profile to where you could actually see his foot down where he has his hands around the ball. That is a catch. He has control. He's inbounds. It's a catch. End of story. I do not know how they don't give us that catch. They give us that catch. We run it in. It's 17-17. Their offense was not scoring again. That was a robbery of a game. So, again, you can't really put one little thing like that, and I don't think Rich Rod would do the same. This is squarely 100% on Nico Marchiol and Rich Rodriguez. Those are the two most responsible people for this loss tonight. End of story.
It's tough for me, Bernie, because I have been such a supporter of Rich Rodriguez. We both have, as well as Nico. But again, like you said, it was not a great game for either of, obviously.
Let's address the comments later, Brad, because we have to talk about like the recap in the game, right? And then we'll go through the comments. Let's look at what happened. This was honestly a replay of 2007 Pittsburgh. The game plan that Ohio had from the beginning was to chew clock. It was evident. Every single play they ran went under 10 seconds underneath the play clock. Rich Rod did not adjust to this. He literally went through the first half running an up-tempo offense, even though it wasn't producing. So you had that happening while they were countering. Then they're running the clock the entire time, running it in the second half, and we are not capitalizing on our possessions because he's continuing to try and run an up-tempo offense. It was literally like watching that game again in 2007. It was pathetic. And the fact that Rich Rod and his coaching staff offensively did not adjust to this is so questionable. They are too good to not do that. Everybody saw it. Even the commentators were saying, oh, look, Ohio's taking their time. They literally controlled 80% of the possession tonight. How are you going to win a football game when the opposing team controls 80% of the possession time? You're not going to win that game.
Yeah, the possession time, I just looked it up, was 40 minutes for Ohio, 17 minutes and 30 seconds for WVU. So more than doubled our possession time. It was not close.
But again, right, like when you look at that as a coach, you have to realize what's happening. How our coaching staff did not see that and understand the fact that they were trying to do that to keep our offense off the field is beyond me. I really can't figure that out. I just can't. And the fact that we saw a lot of good downfield plays that worked, and then all of a sudden they would go away from it. And it didn't happen until late in the, like almost midway through the fourth quarter. That is on Rich Rod. What if you are going to be the offensive play caller? You bear the responsibility for calling shit offensive plays throughout the entire game. And that is what you did. They bottled him up. Rich Rod was straight up out-coached tonight by a MAC, D, and O coordinator. End of story. That is terrible. Never thought I'd say that.
Looking at the stats, Bernie, we were 2 of 13 on third downs. We did have three turnovers, created 3 turnovers. The defense, I felt like, gave us an opportunity to at least compete. They gave us some chances, but the offense, man, wow! I really don't know where we're going to go from here. I know a lot of people are calling for Nico to be benched, but who are you going to put in? I don't see Jalen Henderson. Jalen Henderson's 0-4 on the season. He's not a better passer than Nico. I think he's a much worse passer than Nico. He's probably, I'm sure, a better runner, but we need somebody that's able to throw it downfield. I still think that Nico is going to be the starter against Pitt. What would you do as if you were Rich Rod next week going into Pitt, man?
So, few things. The 2-on-12 on third down is pathetic against a MAC team. And if you're going to do that against a MAC team, you're going to get dominated by a Big 12 and ACC team. For me, I'm a huge Nico fan. I am. But he made some really bad throws tonight. And I hadn't seen that from him in the Robert Morris game. And he also made some really bad RPO calls. There were 6, 7 by the end of the game that I counted to where he should have read the edge and given it to his running back as opposed to trying to take it. And I know he's trying to make a play, but they were really bad calls. Honestly, I'm looking at Scotty Fox right now. I'm not even thinking Henderson. I think Scotty Fox gives us a different dynamic. I don't think that people are prepared for him. He gives a different level. I did not like the fact that Rich Rod took out Nico in the middle of the game and put Henderson in. I thought that was a huge mistake as well. I thought that it burned a series where Henderson, obviously, he scrambled. He had an open Cam Vaughn, and he threw it out of bounds, right? Yeah. Like, again, Henderson has not shown me anything from a passing ability perspective. For me, it's between Scotty Fox and Nico Markiel. Henderson, to me, is an afterthought. So, again, I'm a Nico guy, but Nico cannot play like he did tonight against a MAC team and expect to maintain the starting spot. So, as much as I've said all year that Nico is the starter, after tonight, Nico is not the starter, in my opinion. And I know you and I are not going to agree on that.
Right.
I love Nico. I think he's a great guy, but you cannot play the game you did tonight against a MAC team and expect to maintain your starting position. You can't. So for me, if Scotty Fox could get up to snuff and be a guy that could step in and bring that different level, I'm all for Scotty Fox and Nico. Jalen, to me, is out.
Yeah, a lot of people are agreeing with you that, this is Scotty Fox should get an opportunity in the future. To me, he's a freshman. I think it would be very challenging to play him next week in such a big game against Pitt. I'm just not sure about him going into the Big 12 conference. I just would be concerned. I think Nico still needs to be the starter next week. I do think he gives us our best chance of winning. I thought the offensive line was I'll be interested to see what those PFF grades are for them tomorrow, because they're going to be really bad. The offensive line was atrocious. So I think we have a better offensive line. I think we have better play calling. I think it goes differently.
So let me ask you this. Would you think that Scotty Fox, if he started, or Jalen Henderson, if he started, would have had a worse game than Nico?
I mean, I'm looking at the stats. Let me see what Nico was for today. He was. I'm pulling it up real quick. He certainly missed some passes that I was surprised that he missed, but I feel like he was under pressure a lot throughout the game. I mean, he went 15 of 26 for 178 yards. Certainly not great. I don't know that we can put the whole game on Nico, though.
I'm not saying that, but again, with Rich Rod, if you remember back in the Pat White days, the key to Rich Rod's offense was reading the RPO off the edge correctly. Nico did not do that correctly today, at least 5 to 7 times I counted. So if you're not reading the edge correctly and you pull down the ball to run it because you're trying to make a play, you're going to get bottled up. And that happened multiple times today. I love Nico. I know you love Nico. I want him to win this job, but if it's not him, I'm not going to sit here and sacrifice the program to defend Nico. I'm not going to do it. So I think Scotty Fox, in my opinion, if he has an arm that could be complementary, at least as good as Nico, throw him in. Because if the O-line sucks as bad as we think it does, which is fucking horrendous, pardon my language, which it was today, then you need a scrambling quarterback like Scotty Fox or Jalen Henderson. And Nico can run when you design a quarterback draw, but he is not going to scramble and elude people. That's not Nico. So you have to put somebody in that can do that if the O-line is weak, which it is.
Yeah, quarterback we haven't talked about is Max Brown. I mean, Rich Rodriguez has said he is the best athlete of all of the quarterbacks, that he's got a cannon for an arm. He's got experience in the SEC. He was at Florida. I'm going with Nico next week, but maybe that's a potential player that could come in and start next week for the backyard brawl as well.
I love Nico. I'm not going with Nico anymore after today. You can't have a game like today at a MAC opponent and expect to be the starter. As much as I love Nico, no. I am no longer on board with Nico being the starter. Not. You cannot lose away at a MAC opponent with that kind of attendance from WVU, that kind of pathetic offensive performance, and expect to be the starter. I love him, but no.
Yeah. Let's take a look at some comments, man. A lot of Brad hate in the comments, man. Brad was right. He said West Virginia would win easily. I did. I really thought that this was a game that wasn't going to be close. S&S performance. How long will it take people to realize that he can only win with Pat White? I mean, do you think that's true, Bernie, that the only way that Rich Rod can win is with a player with the caliber of Pat White? I certainly don't. I think that Rich Rod's an outstanding coach. I think Today was an awful performance, but I still very much support Rich Rodriguez.
No, I think that's a vastly inaccurate statement, right? Like, today was not about one component of the game. It was really about timid play calling, offense, and just Rich Rod's still trying to figure out who his guy is, right? Like, you have to remember, you could go through spring ball, you could go through practices, but at the end of the day, Rich Rod still has to see these guys play. And I don't think he feels like he has his team yet. And I don't think he's going to feel that for a year or two. And that's okay. I mean, that's kind of what happens. But, making a statement like that, I don't agree with. I think, that's Rich Rod's going to win. And he's proven that he can win. He led Arizona a Pac-12 championship, Jacksonville State to the Conference USA championship. It's not about a Pat White. It's about how his scheme fits in with his players. I don't know what happened today. I'm not happy with Rich Rod right now. I love Rich Rod. I love him. I thought he was like the vagina Bobcat today. I mean, like Brad put on social media, that would have been Rich Rod for us. Like, he just was so timid in his play calling in the first half. And Brad and I said it. He wasn't throwing anything mid-range. He wasn't trying to hit Cam Vaughn. As soon as we opened up the playbook and we started to see, people taking shots downfield, all of a sudden things started to open up. So why didn't we do that the whole game? It was literally like watching Neil Brown for the first half. It was horrible. So I don't think that it's a correlation to Rich Rod and Pat White. I think it's more he has to settle in right now. I know he feels a lot of the expectations, but today was terrible. It was terrible. And it is on him. It's squarely on him.
Something
it's not a Rich Rod, Pat White thing. It's squarely a Rich Rod thing.
Yeah. Something we haven't talked about, Bernie, is are we led to believe that Clay Ash is the second best running back that we have right now after Jaheim White? Clay Ash was our go-to running back in the second half after Jaheim White got injured. Man, if we go in with Clay Ash as our starting running back against Pitt, it's going to be ugly next week.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything from him that suggests he's a Big 12 talent.
Right. No, I think Ash could be a good player. Bowers could be better. I just see more upside with Sincere Bowers. Just how I look at it. Might be wrong, might be right. I don't know. I'm not a pro, talent coordinator here. But at the end of the day, I look back at last week and I look back at the holes that were open, and I'm going to also put today's loss. So if I'm putting it again, Rich Rod, the other responsible party will be the offensive line. You guys were shit today. I literally could have built sandcastles in front of the D line, and they would have defended better than them. Yeah. It was pathetic. So the offensive line needs to figure their shit out and figure out what they're going to be able to do, because this was Ohio. What do you think is going to happen when you have any of the Big 12 opponents coming in that are much more athletic and defensively minded? They're going to run over you guys. You sucked today, and you sucked last week, and you made some adjustments, but the O-line does not get fixed. It's going to be a long season for Mountaineer football.
Matt T over on YouTube said, "So long for game day coming to Morgantown next week." A lot of people are saying this. Let's hope game day doesn't come to Morgantown. That would be embarrassing. I don't think we have to worry about that. I really don't think there's any chance of game day coming now, which is so disappointing, because when game day comes to Morgantown, that is it's West Virginia Morgantown is the center of college football universe for that weekend. And to lose that, I mean, it just is such a loss for publicity for our program, for money, all kinds of things. It's just again, it's devastating.
Yeah, and I'm already getting trolled by Pitt fans on X about, we handled our business today and the Mountaineers shit the bed against Ohio. Look, I don't have a good answer for that. I mean, it is I have no confidence over beating Pitt next week anymore. I would have, but the game management today was horrendous. So, it is what it is, man.
Pitt, Chris over on X that Pitt is going to run this team crazy. Unfortunately, I agree. I think they're going to be probably a 10-point favorite now, is my guess. Bernie, what's your prediction on what the line will be next week?
Yeah, I think 10, 12,
Yeah.
But you know what? Pitt has been good this year, and we haven't. I thought we were, but we haven't. So
Jeremy says we just can't have nice things. A lot of people say the same thing. Matt, he said, was 100% a catch. He's talking about that catch there at the end of the game. I mean, it's one of those.
Do you have that? Can you put that up?
Yeah, I'll put that up in 1 second. But it's one of those things where I feel like it was, they just can't overturn the call on the field, unfortunately. I totally agree, though, that it was a catch.
Well, that one to me was like one of the calls you do overturn because it was very clear his knee was separated from the OB line and his foot was down and he had control. So I don't know how you don't overturn that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, we make that catch inside the 10-yard line.
It was on the
5 minutes left.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, unfortunately that it didn't go our way. It's just a lot of things didn't. Jaheim White Flight says you post, and he's talking about the Voice of Morgantown X account saying you posted in Glazy Nika the whole time. He was playing incredibly awful. It was embarrassing. I still had hope that he was going to come back and win the game. Especially there in the second half, we started to move the ball a little bit, and it started to feel like the offense was opening up a little bit, and just didn't get it done.
I have no comment on that. It was terrible to watch. I don't think that there was any time that I felt like the offense was opening up today, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, there was a couple times there in the second half. It was when Nico, I think it was his first possession that he came in after Jalen Henderson had been in for 2 possessions. And we got, I know we got a first down or 2, and then I mean, it did fizzle out pretty quickly, but I did feel there for a moment that Nico was going to make the comeback.
Well, you had that too, and then you had even on the +3, +4 turnovers where we converted 0 points.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have a single turnover, and you have 3, and we don't convert any points.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the stats are just horrendous all the way around. Matt T on YouTube said, you have to adjust. Navarro couldn't throw downfield much, and he still produced with his legs. I mean, Navarro was, outstanding today. He did throw some bad interceptions, but offensively, I think he won the game for them. Scotty Fox, Jerry on X says, Scotty Fox, 6'4" and runs a 4.4 with a cannon. What are we doing? I mean, listen, guys, again, he's a freshman. Going into the backyard brawl, that's a really, really big game. I wouldn't start Scotty Fox. I know Bernie says that we should.
Well, I'm not saying start Scotty Fox. I'm just saying that I'm no longer sold on Nico. And if we're looking at the future of the program, this year's already fucked. We could maybe go to the Big 12 title game and squeak into the Big 12 championship if Rich Rod figures out a way to, find an offense. But there's a guy that did the same thing. His name was Pat White, as a sophomore. So we'll see, right?
Pitt fans chiming in, 412 Pitt. Well. How do you get worse after Neil Brown? The fall off got to be studied. Yeah, so, I guess he's got a point, unfortunately. We hate Pitt fans, of course, but unfortunately that was a terrible, terrible loss. Shane Jiggy over on YouTube says, Nico moves around the pocket like Joe Biden moves across the stage. As a fan, the only thing that reels me back in after that is a drastic quarterback change. Embarrassing. Yeah, that's the thing, Bernie. If they do start Nico next week, and again, Rich Rod may hide it and say he doesn't know who the starter is going to be until game time. But if they do start Nico, does he have the fan support? Are they behind him right now, or are we quickly going to be looking for Scotty Fox or Jalen Henderson or Max Brown to come in?
It's a tough question. I'm not behind Nico anymore. I think it needs to be opened up. I hate to say that. I know you're a huge Nico guy. I am too. I love him, but you can't have a performance like today against a MAC team and expect to keep your starting job. Can't do it. Not at a Power 4 program. I would be running with like Henderson, Brown, or Fox as number 1 this week. Hate to say it, but it's where I'm at.
And Nico just done for the rest of the year? I mean, because of this one performance?
When you have one bad performance against a MAC team, you're not going to perform well against an ACC or Big 12 team. That's how I look at it. And, maybe it was Rich Rod. I don't know, but all I know is that we should not have lost to Ohio today. You have a +3 turnover margin and you lose on the road to a MAC team. I can't do it.
Rich Rod is the greatest thing to ever happen to WVU. Brad Smith, practically. I do think Rich Rodriguez does give us the best chance to compete for the national championship at West Virginia. I do think he is the right guy for the job. I think historically he's been awesome at West Virginia. So, I am a big supporter of his.
Well, so here's the other thing. And I agree. Rich Rod's awesome. I want him here. I think it's great. But when have we ever been in a position where the defense locked down in the second half and the offense did nothing?
Yeah.
Right? We scored on our first drive, and then we did nothing until scoring a field goal in the second half. That is unacceptable. Not only in the Big 12, but specifically against a MAC team. So for me, that is my biggest concern. We have to figure something out. And unfortunately, as much as I love Nico, he is not a very mobile quarterback. I think if you create a run play for him, a draw, offshoot, fine. He'll run over people. He'll be okay. But you need somebody. This is going back to like the Jarrett Dagey days, where we had a terrible offensive line and you needed a guy like Garrett Green to step in because he was mobile. That's how I feel right now. Like, I love Nico. I want him to be successful, but I don't think he's going to be successful with this offensive line.
Justin Graham over on YouTube says, long season ahead, 4 wins, maybe 5. Yeah, so if I'm looking at the schedule, where are we getting these 4 and 5 wins from? I don't know that we're going to be favored in any game for the rest of the season after today. Are there any games, Bernie, that you can think of that we'll be favored to win in? We're certainly not going to be favored next week against Pitt. We're not going to be favored the following week against Kansas. We're not going to be favored the following week against BYU. It's a tough schedule, and there's just no easy games, and we just lost to Ohio.
Yeah, no, I don't see us favored for a long time, unfortunately.
Clay Ash runs a 4.6 40. That is not fast enough for a back his size, and in the Big 12. He goes on to say he's an FCS player. He can probably be a decent special teamer, but not a number 2 back for a Power 4 team. I agree with the end of that, that he's just not somebody that we can rely on to get the bulk of the carries. I wish we would have seen some of Ty Edwards today. I know he hasn't been practicing with the team because of the whole eligibility case, but he is a powerhouse. I really wish we would have seen some more of Sincere Bowers. I don't think he got a single carry today, and he's a special talent. Last week he rushed 6 times for 59 yards, so he is a special player who I think could have created some offense and potentially got a touchdown.
Yeah, no, he was in twice, I think. He took 2 carries, but didn't do much. But again, it goes to the O-line. I mean, like we talked about the other day in the show, right? Like, you could have Jakeem White, Adrian Peterson. It does not matter. If you are not good up front, you're going to be bottled up. So, Sincere Bowers, yes, I would like to see more of him. I think he has the most upside, but we have to kind of wait and see how the season plays out and see if Ashley's going to be the guy or if he's going to step in and be the guy.
Russell Wall on YouTube says, I still love my Mountaineers, but I'm afraid this is going to be a long season if they can't get the O-line fixed. Here's my concern with Rich Rod, guys, is that I feel like he is not willing to play the NIL game necessarily in the way that you have to play it to be really successful right now. He's not really willing to overpay for players, I don't think. I don't think he overpaid for any player during this offseason. And so you're going to have to overpay for players if you want them, unfortunately. And if you don't do that, you're going to get an offensive line like we have right now. You're going to get MAC first-team players like Walter Youngbear. You're going to get, these kind of guys who develop. But there's not any like super stud on the offensive line. And that's the type of players we need to compete.
Yeah, totally fair. I don't have a good answer right now. I wish I did. I know Mountaineer Nation, everybody's upset about tonight, but man, I wouldn't have thought that the rebuilding component with Rich Rod would be as painful as it is right now. Yeah. As much as I hate Neil Brown, I don't think ever lost to like an Ohio. So I'm conflicted right now. I've got a lot of emotions going on. VOM family. So I need some time to sort this out, but definitely not what's expected.
WVU Trashineers from Justin Graham. Pitt fans love chiming in here. Pitt has the top linebacker unit in the country. They are incredible. Your quarterback is done. Listen, I hate to agree with a Pitt fan, but how can we disagree with that? Our offensive line is not good right now, and their linebackers are really good. So, again, going to be a rough week next week, I think. Russell says, why are you on a WVU podcast? And you wonder why we hate you, of course. Defense is good. Offense is going nowhere. I don't know, man. Is our defense good enough to win in the Big 12? I didn't see anything that suggested that we weren't good enough to win in the Big 12 defensively. I really do think it is the offense right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the funniest part about all of this, right? We went from the worst defensive unit in the Big 12 last year and seeing the structural and implemental change that Zach Alley has brought to our program. And our biggest problem tonight was what? Rich Rodriguez, Nico Marchiol, and the offense. That's it. We should not have lost this game tonight. And Rich Rod should have been better about identifying the fact that they were going to chew clock early and it was going to be a defensive and possession time battle. I don't think he did that. He just sped it up. And even the commentators said the same thing. It's great to run an up-tempo offense when it affects the defense. But if you're not affecting the defense, there is zero benefit to running an up-tempo offense. And we did it the entire first half. Tonight was a failure by the coaches. Rich Rod, the entire offensive coaching staff, you sucked tonight. And you cost us a game day in Morgantown, and you cost us an opportunity to have a fair market value on the pick game. That is my final take.
Over on X, Trey says, why are you giving up on this team already? Trey, it's hard not to right now. I mean, just being realistic, we're looking ahead. I just don't see a game right now that we're going to be favored to win or that seems like a winnable game right now. I just don't see any games here now that, every game, every team in the Big 12 is tough. Texas Tech initially thought that was a winnable game. I'm not so sure anymore. TCU is a really, really good team right now. I don't see any games that, unless something changes, unless there's something drastic that changes, I don't see us winning another game either right now. And I had us going 10-2.
Well, I mean, to his point, right? Like, if you're not going to beat a MAC team, why would we beat a Big 12 team?
Yeah, absolutely. Game day is overrated. You don't want that circus where you're rebuilding. I'm sorry. I would like that circus in Morgantown. It's great for publicity for the school. Last time Pat McAfee was in Morgantown for game day, it was huge. It was the whole college football world was looking at West Virginia, and that's very rare that happens. So it's a huge thing that game days probably not going to be coming to Morgantown now.
Yep.
Jeremy Moyer said both of these jackasses need to go root for Pitt. FU. So wow. Yeah. Drumwolf said, just think what would have happened if WVU got that pass completion. WVU could have tied that game up and refs knew it. WVU always has to go against the refs as well. Again, I think that was the catch. I'm positive it was a catch. Bernie posted it on X. It was definitely a catch, but again, it has to be clear, disputable, and they almost never overturn those.
How can I share this image, Brad?
If you go down to the bottom and hit the plus button, and you can hit share screen.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I'll take another comment while you're doing that. Why didn't we retain Matt Moore? Matt Moore made a ridiculous comment to Rich Rod on social media. He was, I guess he was angry about Neil Brown being fired. He said something that it was something to do with Rich Rod not being hard edge or his program being hard edge. And unfortunately, from what I understand, that Rich Rod didn't take that well. And of course, Matt Moore went to Virginia Tech and took Thomas Remack and all those great offensive linemen, which ultimately hurt us badly.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Here's the catch. Yeah, you can see he's got control. That left knee is not quite down, and
2 feet down, not just 1, 2.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we even debate that? Look at that. Hands, ball, foot.
Yeah. Andrew brought up a good point here. He said maybe there's a reason Jack McNeil Jr. never stayed at a job more than 2 years. He is our offensive line coach, for those of you that don't know. I'm not really sure what's going on with his career. I've seen that. He has been, I think, at like 16 different schools in like 20 years or something like that. So he has been around the block. It is kind of odd that he does change jobs almost every year. And I don't believe that Jack McNeil was Rich Rod's necessarily his first choice as our offensive line coach this year.
I would agree.
Let's see. We got so many comments, man. I'm trying to go through as many as we can.
Oh, good.
Any other team that the old Golden Blue that played reversed and called a catch? Yeah, they're saying that any team that we played, they would have gotten that call. It certainly feels like that sometimes. This is a new team. I understand we're all frustrated right now, and that should not have happened. There's no excuse, but we can't hate on Rich already. Y'all had way too high expectations. Rich Rod wants to win. He hates to see us like this in the post-game interview. He said it's all the coach's fault. They're trying their best. Nico needs to play better, but Nico is a good kid who can win us games. Bernie, I'm going to lean. I lean to what Trey's saying here. That I really do think that you can't give up on Nico right now. I think you come back with Nico in the backyard brawl. I think he is the guy next week, and yeah.
I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
I don't think if you have solid outings, look, Robert Morris, fine. Ohio, if you're not going to do well against Ohio, you lose the starting position. If it's you have a bad game against Oklahoma State, I get it. Keep starting position. So for me, quarterback room's open at this point. As much as I love Nico, I can't support him being the starter right now after what I saw today.
Over on YouTube, Officer McRib says, do you think the press will lob softball questions at this presser. I mean, I haven't watched the press conference yet, but I think that's as pretty much a guarantee as possible. They didn't ask Neil Brown a single challenging question in 6 years. I don't know that I've ever heard any of our media ask a tough question. So again, I don't think that we'll see any difference today, unfortunately. Yeah. Larry's cousin over on YouTube says, he said, at least you guys aren't crying. Like, I guess Mountaineer Paul's over there crying on YouTube. So that's interesting. I feel like crying, but we're certainly not crying over this loss. That was a catch. Even Stevie Wonder could see it from Drumwolf 62. Larry's cousin says, so next week prediction 21-0 Pitt, put it in. Yeah. So I want to be optimistic, Bernie. I want to say that we have a chance to beat Pitt. It's the backyard brawl. It's a huge rivalry. Throw the records out the window, but it does feel like I just don't see us winning this, man.
No, I was literally going to the game. I'm not going anymore.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way too. It's one of those things, man. There was so much excitement. And now it's like there's just no excitement anymore. Last comment, Drumwolf said 2 feet in and no catch. Yeah, so we all saw that. Yeah. Don Nealon quote: the quarterback can't throw the ball lying on his back. I don't feel like Nico looked very comfortable in the pocket at all. So I think his pocket presence was questionable tonight. But again, he was being pressured constantly. So, and what's alarming about this, Bernie, is that it was Ohio. It was Robert Morris last week. He didn't have time in either one of those games.
No, again, it's not just that though, Brad. It's decision making, and Rich Rod runs a very heavy like RPO offense. And if Nico doesn't know when to pull or pass, it creates an issue. And I feel like he got away with it last week, and he got exposed this week. There were numerous times he should have thrown when he pulled or handed off to the back. So, no, I don't have confidence in him anymore, unfortunately.
Trey said, how do you guys feel about the rest of the season? Do you think they can turn it around? Trey, we've said it a bunch of times tonight after the game that we feel like after what we saw tonight that I don't see us being favored in a single game for the rest of the year. And there's a very, very good chance that we could not win another game for the rest of the year and go 1-11.
Yep. So the more I thought about this game after being so disappointed is the more I thought about like what Rich Rod's going to do and react. And I know this might not be popular with a lot of people, but what I could see happening after this game is just Rich Rod looking toward the future and being like, you know what? Scotty Fox is going to be my guy for the next 4 years. Or, the other quarterback, Brad, I can't remember his name right now, not Henderson.
Max Brown.
Max Brown. And just looking at that and just being like, you know what? I don't even care if I go 5-6 or 5-7, whatever it's going to be. I'm just going to play my guys that I want to play, and I'm going to build the experience, and that's going to be that. I could see him doing that because if we're not going to beat an Ohio team, I mean, we might be able to pull some things out, but we're not out of the Big 12 title yet, right? And that gives you an automatic bid. I get it.
Yeah.
But damn, we're unless we figure something out, we're going to be out of that game pretty quick. So does the loss or a game against Pitt really matter if we play the same people? Or do you start to turn the knob and look toward the future to a guy like Fox and Brown and some of our other quarterback talent and say, these are the guys I'm going to have for 4 years, and I'm going to build and maybe win 7 or 8 games this year and go from there? Because, again, as much as I love Nico tonight, man, that was tough to watch. It was tough to watch.
It sure was. And I agree with you. I just think next week against Pitt, I really do think that Nico gives us our best shot. And I think it's a little early to give up on him, but we'll see. We'll see what Rich Rod does. Mason said he made a good point. The only team that is playing bad on our schedule is UCF. Everyone else is playing good ball on both sides of the ball. Yeah, so it's going to be a rough rest of the season. It's going to be a very challenging end of the year for the rest of the whole year. And UCF is in Orlando. It's in Central Florida. So that's not going to be an easy game either. So, I don't think we'll be favored any other games the rest of the year. It's just shocking. In a world of social media now and players going on these platforms, I think it's become this giant distraction to the actual game they're playing. The game day rumors look ahead was big, I'm sure. Not sure his point there. Fox is the only answer. No other quarterback is going to give this team a chance to win another game this year. I mean, listen, I think everybody's seen Scotty Fox and thinking he's, this immediate answer because he did have one big run. We haven't really seen him throw the ball yet. I know Rich Rod said that he has the quickest release on the team, or maybe the quickest release that he's ever seen. But again, he's a freshman and he's going to make freshman mistakes. So I just don't think that Scotty Fox is the answer right now. I think he could be down the line in a couple years or next year, but not right now.
So I look at it like this, and it's probably naive, but when you play like NCAA on the PlayStation, what do? You get your freshman, your sophomore in there as early as possible, right? Because it builds up experience points. I just look, if we're going to have a shit season, I'd rather have a shit season with a guy that I know is going to be the future instead of a guy that I know is the past. And that's harsh. I get it. I love Nico. But Nico, you can't lose to Ohio. You just can't. It loses all credibility. So for me, I'm back to square one, and I'm open to any of the quarterbacks we have on the roster, but I really like Fox and Brown. I think if you're going to try and build something, maybe you start getting them more reps, and you just go from there.
I'm reading some of the quotes from Rich Rodriguez. He said he just wanted to try to get a spark switching quarterbacks, wanted to try to do some quarterback run stuff, but it wasn't anybody's fault at quarterback. It was his. He's saying that he's taking the full blame on that. Rich Wright, he said he didn't see the pass at the goal line, but he could tell it was a catch. He couldn't tell if it was a catch. He said Parker Navarro was phenomenal with his ability to scramble. He's a great playmaker and is dynamic. He went on to say that it didn't look good for Jaheim White on the sidelines, but he hasn't talked to the medical staff yet. We're all hoping that that there is a chance that we'll see Jaheim White back this year. We had such high hopes.
You want me to put this up?
What's that?
The Jaheim White here.
Oh, yeah. So we all had really high hopes for Jaheim White this year, and it's just so bad to see.
What button do I hit, Brad?
Down. It's the plus button at the bottom. Yeah.
There we go.
That Ohio team couldn't score to save their life. WVU beat themselves. Ohio won't win 4 more games. I don't know about that. I think Ohio's got a pretty good team. Our guys looked defeated at halftime. I was at the game. This you can tell his knee, his leg that certainly looks bad. And for him to be on crutches, he couldn't put any weight on it. I wouldn't be shocked if he was out for the rest of the year.
Yep. Well, so again, I mean, what I'm seeing here, it looked like his left leg buckled. So right here, and it just looked like his knee got caught up. So, it's terrible. But
yeah. Bernie, anything else, buddy, before we end this depressing show?
No. I wish I had more. I don't. Very disappointed. I wish I could say that Richard's gonna get it back on track, but I'll have a lot of confidence in Rich Rod right now after what I saw tonight, and that's unfortunate. So,
yep. All right, guys. Tough loss tonight at Ohio. Hopefully, we see something change heading into the backyard brawl next week. Guys, have a great rest of the weekend, and let's go Mountaineers.
To Morgantown, we break it first. W pride, we quench your thirst. No spin, all truth, loud and proud. Mountaineer nation, say it loud. The voice of Morgantown. VOS.